Welcome back, I'm GTGD, and this is video 4, and I'm going to make some pixel art. So, quite a few of the textures that I have in my project, well, I'm going to show you how I make them. So let's get going. The first texture that I'll make will be a brick texture. So basically, like a brick wall sort of a thing. So I'll have like I'll pick a pink/red color for the brick itself, and for the mortar a lighter color. And I'm going to use the line tool. I know that my mortar is going to be about 2 pixels long. I'm going to draw a border at the bottom of the screen. So I'll go ahead and just do that right now. I'll pick this one and give that a try first. That looks too dark, then I'll pick the other one. Okay, that looks alright. And next thing, I'm going to select, so I made that 2 pixels wide, and I'm going to select this color, and I'm going to make my bricks 14 pixels high. And just draw it right across. And I'm going to have 4 rows of bricks. So let's just do that a few more times. And right there's no border at the top. Okay, set it back down to 2 pixels. And just grab this color and just fill these other spaces in. Okay, very good. Next, I'm going to do the vertical lines. So I'm just going to split this one just about there, something like that, roughly. Okay, that's a brick done there. And then next I'm going to do this one, not quite in the center, just a bit offset like that. And then I'm going to give it a border over here. And then this one I'm going to just have it pretty much follow along from the bottom row. So just go like that, and there we go. And then once again, this one can follow roughly along from there, and it will have a corresponding border tile right there, border right there. Okay, so that's almost done. I'm going to give it a bit of a highlight, just in 1 pixel. So along the top and right edges of each brick, I'm just going to give it a highlight. Now this one only across the top, because obviously it's a tiling texture, so it continues on into the next area, which is this. So this is actually where it ends. So just keep that in mind, and then it won't look funny, it'll look quite nice. The highlight just, I don't know, I just find it adds a little bit something to it. You can't really see it, but it seems to make the texture look more interesting. So that's why I'm adding it. And this one, the same sort of a thing. Now, this one I do add this highlight on the right side, because obviously, yeah, it's got the mortar over there. Okay, so that's our brick texture done. So let's go ahead and download that. And I'll save this pixel pretty soon. I'm going to do a few more things with this, so I'll rename that file I downloaded. I'll copy it into Unity. I'll make my own folder. I'll make another folder as well for that, so I'll get around to that. Okay, so I am going to actually duplicate this layer, turn off the original one. Now I'm going to make a door, so I'm going to use the square tool. I'll go down to the browns, and I'll use this to basically make my door frame. And what I want to do is to use up most of the texture. It looks like I've got it pretty even on both sides. I'm pretty happy with that. So I just set that in. So I just drag that through. Okay. Now I'm going to add a border within that. So I'm just going to do that. Something like that. Now each plank needs a certain width. So let's work it out. So what if I just grab the line tool? And I'll use a lighter shade here. So the planks, what if I say it's 6 pixels? So let's say I try that. See what happens if I do 6 pixels. And I'd say that's pretty much alright. So let's do it. So I'm going to just drag that right down. And if I don't like a color at any time, I can use the bucket tool to just quickly replace those areas that have that color. I'll just quickly show that too. My bucket tool has a option, so you can just replace all similar colors. So it's very fast that way. It's quite handy. And I'll just use the color picker tool here. Just grab that, grab the line, go back down to 1 pixel, and complete this. So our door is starting to take shape. That's good. Okay, and I think I'll add a few like highlights in the door. Oops, that's the color I'm using. So that's the highlight color. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'll just add a few things like this, like that, sort of makes it seem like it's like wood. I won't put it there because I'll have a doorknob there. Just add a few in the middle. It's a little empty. Just put something around thereabouts. There. Okay, I'll use the pencil tool. I'll grab the darkest shade. And let's see, is 4 too big? No, 4 is fine. I think that's about okay for the doorknob location. So I'll just drop the doorknob in right there. I could give it a additional border as well with a darker shade. So if I set that to 1 pixel, I can do that too. And it looks like it's got a nice doorknob there. Okay, so that's the door done. That's pretty good. So we've got another item done. I'm going to download that as well. Okay, I'm going to duplicate the brick wall again. And I'll move it up. I'm going to turn off the door and turn on the brick wall. The next thing I want to do is to make a window. And for that, I think I'm just going to use pretty much a very light colored window frame border. So I pick that color right there. And I'm going to make it too thick, thereabouts. Now this is going to be sitting roughly center in the texture. So I'm going to try and do that. Just eyeball it, and I'd say that looks roughly fine to me. And I could actually use a dark color. There was no reason, because I think I might just do that. I'll come back and recolor it once I'm done. It'll be easier for me to see what I'm doing that way. So I'm just going to delete the center. I use the select tool. Just delete that. And I'm going to now just pretty much eyeball it and find the center of the window. Roughly about there, and roughly about there. No, that's not right, so I have to go 1 lower. Okay, there we go. That's better. That's might not be perfect, but it's almost right. And I think I'm pretty happy with that result. So now I'll go ahead and just paste in the color. I'll just drop the color in with the bucket tool. Actually, I'm thinking about it. I like white more. Yeah, I think that looks a bit better. Now, the window's not quite finished. I'd like to make like a glass effect for it. So for that, I'm going to make a new texture. And I guess I'll keep it active. At least I've got the new layer, rather. I've got the new layer selected. And I will use black just for now, so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to just make these streaks sort of going across to represent glass. Just something like that. I'm going to set it, give it a different transparency as well. No, that was 2. That just looks too big to me. Alright. And okay, done. And now I'm going to take the bucket tool, white, go here, just replace all similar colors. Done. Okay. And for this layer, I'll set it down to about 50% opacity. Okay, now I think I'll just name them quickly too. So this one I'll call it glass. I'll call this one window. This one is door. And this one is wall. Okay, and I'll download this as well. I've got my window done. That's awesome. Okay, now I'm gonna make a wooden floor. So I'll just add a new layer, just bring it all the way up here. So I'm working on that. Remove these others. It won't look like the others. So anyway, I'm gonna give it a very thin border. It's gonna be all in the wood colors. So let's go here. A very thin border. From memory, I reckon my wood planks are about 16 thick, so I'll use about 16. And just grab this color. You can always change it afterwards. And just like the bricks, just go in rows right across. And of course, wooden planks are longer. Okay, so that didn't quite work out. I now understand why. Because it's not actually 16, so I'll undo that quickly. It's not 16, it's actually 15, but you can only do even numbers. So what I'll do very easily, so 14, and I'll just do one additional above. That's it, easy. So it's actually 15 high for each row to get an even look on a 64 by 64 texture. So there we go. Done, and that's it. It'll fill in quite alright there, almost. I know, actually, yeah, it fills in just right, so that's 15. 15, all of them are 15. Very good. I just wonder if I can use the bucket tool. This is just trying it out. Yeah, I could. That's awesome. Now, let's see. I have to put in some vertical lines, so I'll just do that. I'm going to do it like in a stepped fashion, so starting perhaps around here, and then the next one around here, next one around here, but back here, I'll just drop it back like that. Okay, so that's almost done. I'm going to just add a bit of a highlight to it, so let me just figure out which color did I use. Was it this one? Yeah, I used that for the wood, so the highlight is going to be this color. Now I'm going to make it like a seamless highlight. So I'm going to go across here. Okay, I reached the end, but it should continue across. So I'm going to do this. Just go right across like this. Drag the line tool. Undo that. At least I've got my spot correct now, so I don't have to eyeball that or anything. Just easy that way. And I'll just add another highlight over there. Something here, and I'll do one here. Again, a seamless one. So I'll go right across. Undo that. And then just come across like that. And I'll do a couple more. And once again, I'll make this seamless. Undo. And there we go. So, small one here, small one there. Something like that over here. With a seamless one over there. Okay. That. And I reckon that's about it for my wood floor. So let's download that as well. Okay, so I think, and I'll just rename that. I'll just call that floor. And I reckon I'll make another layer. And this one is going to be a prop. It's going to be a table. So I'll go ahead and make a table. Now, in the tools, for the line tool, turn on ISO lines. This makes it very easy to draw 3D objects. So I'll just start with, I guess drawing, sort of trying to draw the table top itself. Just draw a line across, something like that. Okay, and come across like that. Give it a bit of thickness as well. Come across here. Finish that border. Okay. And just complete that as well. And then I'll put in the legs. Maybe it's a little thick. Actually, the table's a little thick. I'm not too happy with that. Give me a moment. Yeah, it shouldn't be that thick. Yeah, that's a bit better. Yeah, table's not so thick. Okay, and then I'll put in the legs. And just fill that in. Very good. Okay, that's the table shape done. let's give it a bit of color. Let's pick this one as my wood color. Ah, didn't mean to do that, so undo that. And just come here, not all similar colors. There we go. Okay, so that's more or less done there. We fill these as well. Now I'm going to add some, planks across it, right? So I'll go again back to this one. Just sort of roughly eyeball that. It's almost too thick, perhaps. But no, I think that'll do. What I can do here, I can just make the table border just a bit thicker. That's what I can do. That'll look just fine. Yeah, that's okay. No, I won't do the last one. I'll leave that one alone. That actually looks okay-ish. And actually at the end too, it didn't need it. So I will also just use the color picker tool and just go back across that one. Something like that. Not too far. Yeah, that's much better. That is more or less the table done. I can try other colors too. If I'm not too happy with that one, I can do all similar colors. Try that. I think that's a bit better. It sort of makes it look a bit brighter. I think I should try putting a additional border on the bottom here. Yeah, I think that just gives it a bit more substance to the table. I reckon that will do. So I'm gonna just download that one. I could add some highlights across it too. Similar to what we've done with our wooden flooring. So I might just put in something like that. And one across here. I won't do one there. It might look a little odd. And I'm gonna download that. Actually, no, I'm not. Because I want it to sit on a black background. Because this is going to be in my construction layer, so it'll take up its own tile, and if I do that, then behind will be grass. And also if I put it in another layer, I could do that, but it'll sit on the wooden floor, and it just won't stand out so much since it's quite similar colors. So one way to make it really stand out is to make its background black. I'll just move it up above. Move this layer up above and make its background layer a black color. And just use the bucket tool, fill that in, and that looks really nice. To me, anyway. I think that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to download that. That's my table done. Okay. So I'll just call this background. And I'm going to call this one table. Okay, so that's those two done. I'm going to add another layer. And this one is going to be, I guess, a bed. So I'll go down here to my selections. Just make sure it's on ISO lines. That's great. Okay, so for the bed, I'm just going to do roughly something like that. Perhaps too long there. Give it its frame first. So perhaps about that thick. It's going to go across. And it needs to... So, okay, it needs to be out there. So I'll just undo that bit. Okay. And then over here, come across. Okay, that's pretty good. I'll do the headboard. Yeah, the ISO lines really makes this job a lot easier. Okay, so that's the headboard. Now just do the legs. And same for this one. Oh, my leg over there is a bit thicker, so why don't I just make that thicker then, and just erase that. That's a bit better. Okay, so I think that will do alright. I'll just turn off fill all similar colors, and I'm going to try this. Try this color. Or what about the lighter color? Yeah, I just seem to like it a bit more. So I'm just going to drop that in. Now for the bed itself, I think I'll just use like a white. Just fill that in right there. I can probably make some things a bit thicker as well. So if I use the color picker tool, I mean, actually, I personally think it looks decent enough. Perhaps if anything, the headboard's maybe a little high. I could fix that. So just grab this. Maybe it looks high because I haven't put a pillow yet. Anyway, so then I'll just erase all of that. Okay. And I think that's about that. Coming back here, I'll add another layer. This one will have the pillow and I guess the bed sheet on it as well. I'm going to pick like a blue color. That looks a bit easy on the eyes. And for the pillow, just bring it up like this. Something like that. It's a pretty uncomfortable looking pillow. So could have been a bit lower. I probably can do it a bit lower. Anyway, let's just see how it looks. First, I give it a go. Just keep it, personally. Just keep it. I think that's alright. And I'm going to take this one. I'm going to maybe use this for the bed sheet. It's going to overhang on the bed a little bit on the frame. Perhaps not too much. Perhaps I'll start it here. And I'll go across like that most of the way. Come across here. Go down like that. Alright, and I'm going to give it a different fill. And that's pretty much the bed sheet done. So that's pretty good. I can add a few, how'd you say, like lines in it as well. Something a bit like that. And for the headboard too, if I go back to the layer for the bed itself, yeah, just thinking about it, I can add a little bit of texturing in like that. Something for the headboard as well. In the legs as well. And I think that's pretty much that. That's the bed done. It needs the background as well, so I'll just turn on the background. And I'm just going to download that. So that's another texture done. And why don't we name it? So let's call this bed frame. And I'll call this bed sheet. Okay, so we're doing very well there. We've got quite a bit done. I'm thinking now I might give it a go at drawing some like mountain representations, some hill representations. I'll turn these off now. And let me give it a go. This is the bit where I can easily get undone, because that's, I think, to me anyway, it's a lot harder to imagine and visualize something like that and draw it really well, to draw like mountains and stuff. I think you have to have a very good artistic mind to get that done really nicely. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to try, because it's also going to be a sort of a seamless texture. What I'm doing, I'm just trying to do like that. Now, it's not perfect, but I just add a bit like that. I'm just going to make it seamless, so you can see I've got it to, oops, undo that. If I use the line tool, I can use it to help me see that I did match it up, so the two will match. So I'm going to come back to the line tool. I'm going to do pixel perfect clean strokes while freehand drawing. That'll just make it look a bit smoother. Probably would have been smart to have done it here. Would have looked a bit smoother. But regardless, something like that is what I'm trying to do. And then again, I'm going to do that over here. something sort of like, I'm not too happy with that, so I'm gonna just do it like that to represent like hills. Okay, well, I didn't do a whole lot better than whatever I was doing previously, but I just need something to just represent the hills. So I'm just gonna take it as that. If I'm really not happy with it, I'll draw it up again later. Okay, so I'm gonna just call this hills. Okay, turn it off and create another layer. Next, I'm going to do mountains, something to represent mountains. So for this one, is that too thick? Maybe, maybe not. But what I will do is I'm going to, I guess, try and make it seamless. That's what I'm trying to imagine in my head, how to do that. So let me think about that for a moment. I think yeah, okay. So I'll just start right here, and I won't use that. I'm going to use the line tool. So it's on ISO lines. I'm just curious, see what will happen if I try out ISO lines. Will I be too limited? And perhaps not. Now I'm going to go across to try and make it a seamless texture. Just undo that, so I got my spot. I'm going to just take something and try and connect it up. Something like that, so it'll look a bit seamless there. And for this spot, now it needs a corresponding location as well, seamless, for seamless texturing. So I'm going to just grab that. I'm going to just do something a bit like that. Just bring it a bit down, thereabouts. And perhaps I'm going to do something on the inside as well, just like that. Just bring it down a bit like that. Okay. And I'm going to do some highlighting as well with a lighter shade. So perhaps I should really do it on the tops. Undo that. Let's get this one to meet up nicely. Okay, that's good. And maybe I'll add some white at the top as well. So I'll replace some of that gray with a white. But for now, just getting this sorted. So adding this up here, this highlight to my mountain texture. And just doing that. So yeah, the ISO lines really helped a lot, actually. That made things much easier for me. I'm going to add a bit of white here. Perhaps it's a bit like a bit of snow. And I think that will do. That will do. And that's alright. And I reckon it should be seamless. It should tile nicely. So I'm going to download that. That's great. Okay, so coming back here, I'll just name this one. I'll call it Mountain. And I guess I'll make another new layer. Turn off the mountain here. This one, I could try making something like flowers, for example. Make something nice to look at. So, I'm not sure if that's too thick or not. But I'll go find a decent sort of a green. I reckon that one's alright. That one will do. I'm going to have like 3 sort of like flowers there. Just undo that a little bit. There's a mistake there. Add another one here. Something a bit like that. Something like that. And the leaves for it. Bit of a stalk. Once again, I'm using the ISO lines. It does really help with positioning. And just add something a bit like that, make it pretty small. Okay, and now for the actual flowers, we'll just basically use some nice blocks. Let's start with maybe an orange, make it bigger. Perhaps like an 8 pixel size, an orange, pick like a purple, pick a yellow. Okay, pretty cool. And I'll now just give it a different sort of a shape. Will one do it? No, maybe it has to be 2 pixels wide. I just want to give it a bit of a border. Just make it stand out a little bit more. Just something like that. Simple. I'll grab that orange color and do exactly the same thing here. Okay, very good. I'm gonna grab purple color and do the same thing again. That's very good. Okay, so I reckon that's kind of like our flowers done. I could do other things to it. I could like lower its opacity so it doesn't look so harsh in game. I'll give it a go. Set it to like 80%. Make it a bit softer looking. Might make it look paler too. So I don't know. You can give it a go, see what it looks like. I'll try 90%. And I'm gonna just name that as well. Just call it flowers. And yeah, just download that as well. Okay, I think I'll make another texture as well. So cut off the flowers there. And for this one, will I try? I think I'll try the paintbrush tool. I think that's how I originally did it. And I'll again use that pretty nice green there. And go to the tool. Let's see. Okay, so I'm using the paintbrush. Yeah, if I go to the tool, I should be able to change its, not pattern. Not the pattern. I want to change, oh, there it is. I just have to scroll up. I want to change the brush. I want to use this one. And I don't think you can change its size. No, you can't. So anyway, that's alright. So all I'm going to do is, just sort of just take it and drag it down a bit like that. Perhaps that's not quite right. Maybe make it a bit shorter. And what I'm going to do is to just sort of very loosely, I do want them to be straight, very loosely represent like fields. Perhaps it'll make a bit more sense. I do want it to be straight, so I'm not going to go off at an angle. And I just wanted that sort of effect that it's providing. Okay, and I think that might do. One moment, grab that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick now like a golden color. I'm just going to go diagonal across in various places. Something like that. Okay, and that's basically going to represent fields for me. I could add a bit more green. I could do so, but I think I'll just stop there. I think it's good enough as a representation, and I'm gonna call that fields. So just another texture the player can put down in game. So all of this stuff except for the mountains and hills, the player will be able to place into the construction layer. Okay, so that's another texture done. What about the character themselves? So let me try that. I'm going to start with black first. Just draw a general shape for the player. Now that's too big, so just draw a general shape, something like that. The player does need to be a bit narrow. Something to represent their legs. Something for the arms, so I'll use the line tool for that. And the head. Something like that. Neck region. Dunno, should I even bother having a neck? Not an artist, dunno. So, it looks a little off balance, but let's keep going. Let's keep going. The legs probably need to be a bit longer. I guess some shoes. Nope, that looked alright like that. Across. Hopefully each foot is the same size. And just bump that up a bit like that. And this one, the arms too. And they just need a bit of an ending here. Okay, I'll just undo that. For now, what I better do is I better just start filling this in, at least. So I'm gonna pick like a white color for this character. I'm going to just go there. Okay, good. I'm just gonna add a different color here. Maybe I'll use a brown. Okay, just to mark out those boots now. Now I've got my sketch sort of going. Okay, and perhaps this leg is too thick. Yeah, this one's too thick. Yeah, that's better. Then for the actual outline again. I could make it, I'll probably make it all one color. I'm not going to separate the color of the interior from that exterior. So what I'll do is I'll now actually pick a tan sort of a color for the head. So something vaguely-ish. Perhaps like that. If that looks any good. Something like that. Just fill it all in. Okay. Can add a little bit on the side. Looking more like a penguin, I think, at the moment. And then go back to our white and just check here. All similar colors. No, I don't. I guess so. It will anyway by default. And coming back, grabbing this one, I can just at least place the hands so I can kind of see that. And coming across, if I just go across like that, undo that. Okay. That's sort of a character right there. Can do a bit of, just grab this color, make that a bit thinner, just add a bit of like a shoulder, not quite. Okay, perhaps a bit like that. I could, if I think that the, oops, wrong thing. Let's get the select tool. If I think that the character is a bit off, what if I make them a bit thinner like that? Perhaps I'll have to use the black color again to see what I'm doing. Okay. So in that case, I will just get rid of that. Yeah, I just made the character a little bit thinner. And I will just fill in some of this for the arms. Looking a bit thin. Yeah, that's a bit better. And then I'll just do the legs as well. And the boots as well. Sort that out now. I think it's too long on this foot, so just get rid of all of that. And I reckon that's looking good enough. So that's going to be our player character. I want to just select him, move him roughly in the center of the image, a bit more that way, and that will do about fine. And let's give him a white color now. You can do whatever you feel like doing, actually. So there's no need to do what I've done. You can do whatever you like to do. And I'm going to download this as well. Just call this player. And just download it. And I think I will now save this pixel file as well. I call it pixel art. And I'm going to copy it all over to Unity. I'm going to rename all of the files. So I'm going to spend some time just doing that off screen. I'll just do that. And then I'm going to make folders in Unity. You'll see that. And I'm going to just bring everything in. Okay, I'm back in Unity. So I spent a bit of time just renaming the texture files, pasting them all in. And I just put them into my textures folder. So I'm going to go ahead and just set them all up. So these are all of the new textures, and they all need to get set to, you know, the same thing, like 64 pixels, mesh type full rect, 64 trilinear, and just hit apply. So a lot of them all done, and let me just check. I think they're all tile map textures, except for the player. So I'll just unselect him. I just control and then left clicked and unselected that. And so I'll bring all of these into here. And yes, I do want to make all of my asset files inside of here. And that should be all of these textures now in there. So I'm just zooming out, excuse me. I'm just zooming out there. I can use my mouse wheel to zoom in and out of the tile palette. I can use the middle mouse wheel. If I hold it down, I can pan inside of it as well. To see the textures. I could probably rearrange that. It's probably not exactly how I would like it. So I might just move that. Select that one too. So grab that. Move it. Grab this one. I'll move it as well. Put it over there. Also do these. Move them over here. And I'll select the table. I'll move it over here. And I'll select the mountain. I'll move it next to the hill. Okay, so I got some logic there set up just for me to understand. Now I need to just set up the colliders very quickly. So things like the bed and the door, they shouldn't have a collider. Because the player needs to just go right through them. So no collider. Collider type none. That's the asset filed. The fields, yeah, definitely not. Floor, none of these should have colliders, so none. Flowers, nope, definitely not. We've already done our grasses. Hills, nope. The player can just walk right over. Mountains, yes. And I'm going to change it to grid. I don't want to try and create some sort of odd collider for me. The table, nope. No collider required. Walls, yes, definitely, and I will change it to grid, so it's a nice simple box. Same for the window. So that's all of my colliders set up. I'll just save that. And there's something I've noticed, which is, in the previous video, I've copied my grass tiles on every layer. I've got them copied throughout every layer, right? A way to see that is that if I put focus on tile map, and I select them, all of them show grass tiles on them because they all have grass tiles. That's a mistake. I've made a mistake there. So I need to just go ahead and delete that. I think it's Shift, left click, and I can just delete all of that. So that's done from the mountains layer. Now I'm going to select the construction layer. You can select a layer, by the way, from here, active tile map. You can select it from here, or you can actually click on the layer here and it will get assigned there as well. So Shift, select, and get rid of that. And by focusing on the tile map, I can actually see that I am getting rid of everything there. Same with the trees layer. Shift, left click, select, and just get rid of everything. So now I have my grass layer over there by itself. So great. Okay, so now I've done that. Now I want to use on the mountains layer, I'm going to make a border for my map. So I'll go back to none, focus on nothing, and I'm going to select the mountain, and I'm going to use this paint box sort of fill tool, and that's just going to fill in my mountains here for me. And you can see the collider, the green color is the collider itself. Focus on the tile. If I click off, then I can actually see what the texture looks like. And yeah, I think it's sort of okay for a basic mountain texture. So if I focus back on nothing, make sure I select the mountains layer, and go ahead and just fill in a border for my world. Pretty rough and crude. But this means the player can't exit the world. And now I'll go ahead and select the hills tool and do something pretty similar. I'm not too fussy. I guess I'll just put hills all over, and the hills will appear. It's like there's grass with them. I mean, that's what I want to happen. Like that you can still see the grass and stuff with the hills. My hills textures are not that great. I think they're kind of lame, to be honest. I could certainly do a lot better than that. I probably should, to be honest. Anyhow, if I might change that later. it might annoy me enough that I'll go ahead and change that later. Okay, so save that progress. Now in the construction layer. So I can go ahead and select a brick tile here, and I can paint as well. And I'm going to use a line brush because it's a line. I want to draw a line. And where's a good spot to put it? Perhaps, well, really anywhere. I'll put it off to the side so it's not exactly where the player starts. Excuse me. Just undo that. Okay, so I just need to select this one. And okay, now I've actually got it activated. So now I can draw this. So make like a house structure here. That's pretty good. It's working nicely. I'm gonna select my wooden floor, use the fill tool, just go across like that, and I'm gonna select some windows. Or why don't I select the door first? Put the doors first. Oh, not a line tool, so now it's gonna be default brush. Okay. I guess 2 doors will do. And select some windows. So a nice bright home. And I could as well, if I focus on the tilemap, you can see it's just I'm working on just on that, which is good. And if I select a prop, for example, I can put in a bed. That's pretty cool. And select that. Oh, I should turn off edit mode. That's why I see it appearing. It's partially confusing me why I can do that, because I just forgot to turn off edit mode. So my mistake. Excuse me. And put in some tables like that. Maybe another one here. And that's really it. So, well, I guess we've got our basic textures in place. Things are looking pretty good. Let me just turn off this as well. And I just wanted to just select, make sure that the colliders look alright. I reckon they do. I've got colliders where I need them, because in the next video, I'm going to work on the player's nav mesh and moving the player around in the world. So that's where the colliders will be important. Why don't I just maximize on play, just have a quick look what it looks like. See if I can pick up any mistakes or something that are obvious, like for example that grass one. Okay, so that's pretty much it. The camera's not centered over there, of course. It's looking at here. But once we have our player, we'll make the camera follow the player as well. So I think that will be sorted as well. Oh, I didn't put down any flowers. Didn't get to see what that looked like, actually. Sorry, just can't help myself. Just have to put a few of these, see what it looks like. And put some fields over here as well. Just painting with a default brush. And let's go have a look at that again. All right, yeah, I think that'll do quite okay. I guess next time what I could do to make the fields better is actually I should make them plants like just looking at it. So just looking at it, I'm thinking I could have made them like plants and then put the yellow and green like leaf sort of bits on them, and it will look more interesting. I think so. Anyway, that's just some personal feedback for myself there. So that's what I could have done. I mean, you can go create whatever you want to make, and most likely you're going to do a better job than me anyway at this. So I guess that's all good then. So I guess I will see you in the next video, where we'll work on our player, work on the nav mesh, and get the camera to follow the player.